Yes, I know the Cowabunga collection did come out this week. However, I don't have a personal video made for it just yet. I'm working on a bigger TMNT video game related video in which that game will be brought up, so I want to wait until then until you get my thoughts on it. So to serve for now, I am bringing SM on the channel. That way, you don't have zero things about the Cowabunga collection coming out of the Geekly YouTube channel. So everyone, make sure to thank SM in the comment section below before we get started, and now we'll begin. All right, let's go. Cowabunga collection time. Awesome. Round of applause. Woohoo. All right, so the Cowabunga collection came out this week. I was not planning on talking about it until I got a specific TMNT video game centric celebration video together. That's why I haven't been covering the game too much. Most people would think I would have a lot of videos lined up for its release, but I haven't. Again, I announced a long time ago I was going to do a TMNT video game retrospective, and since the Cowabunga collection is out now, I feel like that would be a good tool to utilize within that video in the future, but I didn't want to go without talking about it at all, and a better voice to talk about it right now would be someone who's been playing the game since it came out. That's why SM is here. So SM, let me know. Give me your first impression. Start wherever you want to. I'm not going to hold you back. Your opinions. Go.
So first things first, the presentation. My gosh, is it beautiful. First thing, let's start with the intro. The intro is beautiful. It's short, yeah, but it's beautiful. The animation is so clean, and the animation is also made by the same people who made the Rise show. So that's also pretty cool too. I like the art style they choose for the 80s show. It looks really clean, really good. All right, now for the games. All right, so the games, you have the simple things. You have games, you have online, local play, Turtles Lair, and the option mode. The Turtles Lair is where you basically get to see everything from the game's history. Like you can see like the box art, the game manuals, the ads, what I'm trying to think of off the top of my head. You get to see the shows. Not really fully, you still like pictures of the show, which I kind of wish they had like the whole, you can like watch at least one episode from each show. That'll be kind of cool. Same for the comics, where you see snippets of panels here and there, but you don't get to like read the whole comic. So that's kind of a bummer, but still pretty good. Now for the games. All right, I'm not gonna spend too much more on it. I'm just gonna go with the first two arcade games first. So both of them, they are really, really fun. They're pretty responsive too. The only real downside to them is that when you try to like join a lobby, it is really kind of slow. That's kind of the only downside. And it gets even worse when you join in a game that's already laggy. My game crashed twice doing that. It's just because I'm trying to do 4 players, so that's kind of a bummer. The NES game from the first Turtles game, all we do Tournament Fighter. They're pretty good. I played mostly the arcade, the TMNT 2, the arcade game the most, since it was more fun. Tournament Fighter, it was alright too for what it is. For the fighting game, Tournament Fighter for both Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis. You know, I'm more of a Sega person, but the Super Nintendo version is still superior. Like, it's the best one. Now, for the console versions of Turtles in Time, and there are 2 of them. We have Turtles in Time for the Super Nintendo and the Hyperstone Heist from the Sega Genesis. The Super Nintendo kind of borrows from the arcade game, although it changes a lot of things. And for Sega Genesis, I like it more because it builds off of Turtles in Time, but it adds a lot more to it. For the Game Boy games, I'll admit, even though I played all 3 of them, it wasn't really the highlight. Maybe it's because I'm just not used to Game Boy games, but I mean, they're decently fun. I think Radical Rescue is the most fun I have with the Game Boy games. Now, for the real downside here, the online section, you only get to pick 4 games. You get to play the original arcade, Turtles in Time, the arcade game, Hyperstone Heist from Sega Genesis, and Tournament Fighter for Super Nintendo. Yes, that's not much at all, but then when you go to local play, you get to play like the additional games, like you get to play the Super Nintendo version of Turtles in Time, the Sega Genesis of Tournament Fighter, and the Tournament Fighter for the NES, which kind of sucks because you can play Hyperstone Heist, which is 2 players only, same for Tournament Fighter, but you can't play the other ones that are 2 players as well. So that's a major also bummer. But other than that, this is worth money. This is really worth money.
It's worth the money. It's worth how much money? I gotta ask. It's worth money, but how much? How much is it really worth? What do you think? What do you think?
Well, let's see. For the price it is, the game costs about like $40. And given how the presentation is, honestly, I think it's worth that price. The only real downside is, again, the less options of online multiplayer. That's kind of the only real downside here. Other than that, everything else is really good about it. I'll give it a solid 9 out of 10.
Your first time opening up the game, you pop it into whatever console you got it for, I'm assuming Nintendo Switch. What was the first game on the list that you played? And then what would you recommend be the first game that other people play, regardless of release order?
So the first game that I played was the first arcade game of Turtles. That was my first one. Now for what you guys can do for your own, for best recommendation, kind of a hard one too, because it depends on your preference really. Like, do you prefer like the arcade games, the home console games, or the Game Boy games? Personally, they're all really good to start off with, really. It just depends on what you're going for your game.
All right. In terms of presentation, how the menus are, the content that comes within the box or within the game itself, I have to pit the two titans against each other. Which one do you prefer? Shredder's Revenge or the presentation within the Cowabunga Collection?
Presentation-wise, the collection does it way better than Shredder's Revenge, in my personal opinion. Because while I guess Shredder's Revenge is really good, like the whole presentation is very smooth, fully animated intro. When you really think about it, like the menus, they're pretty basic in a sense, like somewhat pretty basic. But for Cowabunga Collection, you get so much more. Like when you open up the main menu, you see like this whole poster of characters. You then go to the Turtles lair, which is a 3D model of the sewer lair by itself. And everything when you go to certain menus have 3D models of what you're looking at. Then when you go into like the game for the menus, the whole background is like the Mirage comics. And when you pick a game on the left side, it'll show the whole box art of the game that you're about to play. Presentation-wise, the question knocks out the head of the water way more than Shredder's Revenge.
Fantastic. One more question for you. Now we're talking gameplay-wise. The best parts of your favorite game within Cowabunga Collection, does that stack up against your favorite parts of Shredder's Revenge from a gameplay sense, or no?
So for the first part, which is the original TMNT arcade game, now the reason why I like it more is because even though it's a bit old, but it feels a lot more fluid than I thought it would be, to the point where it's like, when I play Shredder's Revenge, it's like, yeah, it's fluid, but it doesn't feel like it's fluid sometimes. But then when you like look at the first arcade game and play it for yourself, like it feels and looks fluid enough. While for the Shredder's Revenge, when you play it, yeah, it's fluid, but it's kind of like fast. So where like when you press a button and they move like a frame faster than when you pressing a button. While for the arcade, when you press a button, it moves with the exact motion you press the button. And maybe it's just a me thing. But Shredder's Revenge, they left out one detail that I wish was in the Shredder's Revenge game. Cause I played both Turtles in Time in the arcade version, and I miss this feature so much. So in both games, whenever you're like dying or you lose all your lives, if the boss or like the enemies knock you to a wall, you'll get hit by the wall, which is what we call wall splat. Depending on how high you went, you'll slide all the way back down and fall on your shells or on your back. Yeah, shells are based on your stomach. While on Shredder's Revenge, you can do it to the foot soldiers, but to these actual players, you just bounce back, which is, again, not the biggest deal in the world, but it's one of those small details that which was in Shredder's Revenge.
All right, fair arguments. None of these necessarily pertain to me. You'll have my own thoughts and opinions whenever I get that retrospective video up and running. But I didn't want you to not hear anything on this end when it comes to this game, because this is an awesome release. So thank you so much, SM, for stepping up to the plate and letting your voice be heard as it pertains to this game. Round of applause for yourself. I'm going to let you do it. Go for it. Nice. Okay, that's enough. As always, I've been Geekly, you've been awesome, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.
Cowabunga dudes!